On my 3-year anniversary with my wife Alice, I got home early and saw her wearing something super sexy to greet me. I was thrilled and couldn't help but carry her to the master bedroom. But just when we started kissing, we heard 2 sneezes from the room. Neither of us sneezed. For the 2-year anniversary, I got Alice some red roses and a platinum necklace she loves. I even got off work early by over 2 hours. The moment I opened the door, I was shocked. There was Alice, standing in front of the floor mirror in a Victoria's Secret outfit, admiring herself. Her body was flawless, and she was all curves and long legs, radiating allure. Even though we'd been married for 2 years, I'd never seen her like this. Alice is usually pretty conservative. Sports bras and cartoon prints dominate her wardrobe. I tried buying her some lingerie once, hoping she'd mix it up, but she wouldn't even look at it, calling it gross. What got into her now? This must be a surprise for me. I was surprised yet happy, and Alice looked surprised too. "Why are you back so early?" she asked. "It's our anniversary, so I asked my boss to let me off early. I have a gift for you, see if you like it." I handed her the necklace. Alice's eyes lit up. "Wow, it's beautiful. I love it, hubby," she squealed like a kid. I leaned in to put the necklace on her. She checked it out in the mirror. "Looks great, thanks, hubby," she said sweetly. "I love your surprise too," I replied, looking at her with admiration. Can't resist any longer, I started kissing her and caressing her. "Hey, hubby, freshen up first," Alice giggled, pushing me away. "I haven't sweat all day, no need for that right now," I said, wanting to keep the mood going. "Want to do something exciting on the couch?" Alice suggested. "Nah, doesn't feel the same," I said as I scooped her up and headed to the bedroom. "I love our king-sized bed." She seemed nervous in a good way. Once in the bedroom, I laid her on the bed and kissed her passionately. Then, out of nowhere, came 2 sneezes. I froze. There's just the 2 of us here. Neither of us sneezed. Is someone else here? My heart raced. "Did you hear someone sneeze?" I asked. "Nope, you must be imagining things," Alice said. Thinking back, those sneezes felt too real. Can't be a burglar in broad daylight. "Maybe someone's hiding?" I asked. Alice exploded. "You think I hid a guy here?" She opened closets and curtains as she questioned me. No one was there. "Where could I possibly hide someone?" she asked. I had no answer. Maybe I really imagined it. The mood was totally wrecked. "Sorry, my bad," I apologized. "You doubted me," she accused. "No way. You're my sweet, innocent wife." "It's impossible," I gushed, trying to appease her. "Plus, we signed a prenup, whoever cheats leaves with nothing." "Maybe you want me to cheat, so you can find someone else?" She seemed upset at that. I tried to smooth things over. "Hey, how about dinner at Blanca's? I'll buy you a purse," I offered. Finally, Alice calmed down, changed her clothes, and we headed out. Back home by 8, I showered, thinking of continuing where we left off earlier. In the bathroom, I stopped in my tracks. There was a cigarette butt in the trash. I don't smoke. Carefully, I picked up the butt and checked the brand. Not mine. Clearly, a man had been here. But jumping to conclusions based on a cigarette seems unfair. Might be a misunderstanding. Considering earlier events, I asked casually if anyone visited. "A plumber came to fix the toilet at noon. No one else," she said. I realized the butt must be his, and the clouds lifted. I got closer to Alice, hoping to continue from the afternoon. "Hurry up then," she said impatiently. She had to get back to work. We both worked at the same hospital, me as a doctor, her as a nurse, but she was on the night shift this month. "Hurry up already." I popped open the nightstand drawer, wanting to grab a condom. As soon as I peeked inside, I noticed on the floor next to the nightstand there was an already opened condom wrapper. Maybe it fell out when Alice and I used it last time, I thought to myself. I reached my hand towards the box of condoms when I paused. The box I bought a couple days ago had already been opened. It was an 8-pack, but now there were only 7 left. I was sure I didn't use one. I hadn't been with Alice since I bought those. Where did that missing condom go? The opened wrapper on the ground gave me the answer. I picked up the wrapper and asked Alice, "Hey Han, why is there one condom missing from the new box I got?" A flash of guilt seemed to cross Alice's face before she confidently said, "I was bored one day and used one to blow it up like a balloon." What? I was speechless for a moment, totally baffled by her response. I'm alone at home during the day. Blowing up a condom is better than getting depressed, right? Geez, you're such a nag. So annoying. She shot back with attitude, giving me a dramatic eye roll. She quickly got dressed and left for work. I stood there, confused, replaying what Alice had just said. It seemed reasonable at face value, but something felt off. Not to mention the weirdness of her blowing up a condom. And can a plumber really afford expensive cigarettes? The next morning, I was in the office when someone sneezed. Thanks to the drama at home yesterday, I was super aware of it and noticed it came from my colleague David. David, like me, is an internist. He comes from a prestigious medical family with relatives in high positions at the hospital. But he's pretty chill and laid back, which is why everyone likes him. I grabbed a couple of cold medicine packets for him from my drawer. "Thanks," David said with a smile. "How'd you catch a cold?" "I don't remember it getting cold out," I asked. "Got hit hard by a breeze after working out yesterday. I'm not as lucky as you with a wife to look after me." I chuckled. David's never been married, likely because he's still playing the field. He's charming and accomplished, definitely not short on potential partners. "Hey, Peter, let me ask you something," David called as I was about to leave. "What would you do if your wife cheated on you?" "End the marriage and, track down the guy and, maybe teach him a lesson," I joked. "That's harsh," he replied. "Of course. They say toothbrushes and wives aren't for sharing. Anyone who tries to mess with my marriage won't have it easy," I said. "What's up, David? Trouble in paradise?" I teased. "Don't even ask. It's complicated," he replied, looking troubled. Not being one for gossip, I simply smiled and left. By the next day, I was working late and got home just as Alice was leaving for her night shift. Surprisingly, there was another person in the house, a stunning woman. "This is my bestie, Betty. We went to college together. She's visiting and staying with us for a couple of days," Alice explained. The woman had flawless makeup, an elegant vibe, and luscious waves. Her smooth, pale skin turned even more radiant when she gave me a polite smile. "I'm off to work. Get along well with Betty. If you mess with her, I'll divorce you," Alice joked, laughing as she headed out. Left alone with Betty, I found myself a bit awkward, but she was pretty effortless about it and walked right over to me. "Peter, you and Alice seem to have a great relationship," she said. Her perfume was intoxicating. Even though we weren't well acquainted, I tried to be polite since she was Alice's friend. I made small talk. It was early fall, and Betty was wearing a black strapless dress with a long sleeve over it. As if overheated, she shrugged off her outerwear, revealing the long strapless dress beneath. Suddenly, her phone tumbled out of her pocket and landed near my feet. "Oops," she said and knelt down to retrieve it. "Peter, why aren't you helping me pick it up?" Bending over, she revealed a bit more than expected, and my mind went blank. To be honest, she was much more voluptuous than Alice. Swallowing hard, I stammered I would help, but "it looks like you've got it." I felt like Betty might be intentionally trying to entice me, but I wasn't sure. After all, she was Alice's friend, and any misunderstanding would be problematic. I awkwardly turned away as Betty kept talking, crouching down to help pick up her phone. But instead, my arm brushed against softness. Stunned, I looked over to see Betty's impressive chest against my arm. Startled, my arm recoiled. I expected Betty to scold me, but instead, she smiled flirtatiously, grabbed her phone, and winked at me. "Peter, I'm headed for a nap. Let me know if you need anything," she said, swaying off to the guest room. I stood there, bewildered. She seemed to be flirting. The next day, coming home from work, I found a feast laid out on the dining table. Alice and Betty were bustling around. "Honey, you're home," Alice exclaimed happily. Alice and I were talking, and Betty mentioned she's leaving tomorrow afternoon. So today we made a nice meal together. "Go wash your hands quickly. Leaving tomorrow, huh? I guess I was overthinking things yesterday. Maybe that's just how she is." I washed my hands and went to the dining table. There were about 7 or 8 dishes on the table. Looks like they were pretty busy. Betty raised her glass to thank both Betty and Peter for taking care of her these past days. Let's raise a toast. We clinked glasses and started eating. They kept chatting, talking about funny stories from the past. Soon, it was time for Alice to head to her night shift. Honey, I have to go to work. You guys keep eating and drinking. Don't waste anything. Alice hurried out. There was still quite a bit of food left on the table, would be such a waste. So, Betty and I ate a bit more. Somehow, I suddenly lost consciousness. I was jolted awake by Alice's scream. What are you doing? I opened my eyes and found myself lying in the guest bedroom with Betty. Both of us completely naked. I was stunned. Betty woke up too and, seeing the situation, said to me, Peter, what were you thinking? Then turned her head to Alice. Alice, we didn't mean to. Alice picked up her phone and snapped a few photos of us, shouting, You cheating rats. Then she rushed at us. She yanked Betty's hair, hitting her. I let you stay in my home, and you sleep with my husband? You won't get away with this. Betty pleaded for my help. Peter, help me. You can't just leave me like this. I got dressed and moved to stop Alice. Stop hitting her. Alice turned to me, anger in her eyes. Peter, still defending her? We're getting a divorce. Right now, today. Alice, calm down, I said. What's the point of calming down? The proof is right here. I'm getting the divorce papers ready now. Prepare to leave with nothing. I don't want to see you ever again. She stormed into the master bedroom, locking the door behind her. Betty seemed terrified too. She quickly dressed and left, dragging her suitcase away in the middle of the night. I was taken aback by everything happening. I couldn't remember a thing about last night. Did I really do something with Betty? I went to the bathroom and checked last night's surveillance footage on my phone. Since finding that cigarette and contraceptive wrapper, I'd installed monitors at home. Alice didn't know about it. Didn't expect to use them like this. The footage showed I lost consciousness at the dining table not long after Alice left for work. Then Betty dragged me to the guest bed, stripped me, and snuggled in naked, posing my hand on her chest. I was shocked. Why would Betty do this? I rewound the footage to noon yesterday. In the living room, Alice was yanking Betty's hair, demanding, Can you do this or not? You're hooked on staying here. Huh? Speed it up, okay? I'm in a rush, and if you don't make this money, plenty of others will. Betty pleaded. I'm sorry. Peter is like a monk. Hard to do anything with him. I'll try harder. Alice let go, useless. I'll help you today to get it done. Hours later, the two were cooking in the kitchen. Alice put a white powder into the soup she served me. Then came the scene of Betty dragging me to the guest bed. So, that's how it is. My heart was racing. Clearly, Alice and Betty set this up together. Never thought Alice would be this bold. Does she not know this is illegal? I turned off my phone, thinking things over. Alice paid Betty to seduce me into bed to catch me and initiate a divorce, as she mentioned, with me leaving empty-handed. Paying Betty, even resorting to drugging me, showed how badly Alice wanted this divorce, intending to take everything and run off with her lover. I clenched my teeth. Alice, you're cruel. I need them to pay for this. I gathered my thoughts and went to knock on the study door. Alice opened it, glaring at me like I was her enemy. About Betty, that was my fault. I agree to leave empty-handed. You can take the house and car, but my savings and stocks are my own earnings, and you won't touch a penny. In college, I got into finance with extra cash to invest. Now, my assets are worth 6 or 7 million, more than the house and car. What do you mean I won't touch any of it? Alice raged. Do you know the law? Your post-marriage investments, along with the appreciation of pre-marriage stocks, are marital assets. Shared money that belongs to me, too. I stayed calm. I'm not giving it to you. If you don't agree, then legal route it is. With that, I turned and locked myself in my room. My goal was to stall her. I had proof of her plotting my cheating, but revealing it now would be too easy on them. By following procedure, I could stall for at least a month. When daylight came, I called my most trusted buddy, Mike, asking him to keep an eye on Alice. I used to think being cheated on was humiliating. I didn't want my friends or brothers to know. But now I'm past caring. I refuse to believe she and her lover won't slip up somehow. After a restless night, I headed to work the next day, completely drained. The moment I got to the office, I collapsed on my desk to sneak in a quick nap. Suddenly, a man's voice interrupted. "Peter, what's up with you? Were you busy robbing a bank last night?" I put on my glasses and saw it was David. "Nah, just didn't sleep well," I replied, still groggy. David joked, "Not up all night with the wife, were you? Take it easy, we're not in our 20s anymore. Gotta watch the health." Hearing that brought my recent troubles back to mind. I stayed silent. Is something wrong? David, with a doctor's sharp instincts, sensed my gloom. Despite wanting to vent, I knew better than to air dirty laundry. It's nothing, just lousy sleep. I should probably grab some melatonin later. By the way, do I have a surgery scheduled? David nodded. Yeah, a minor stomach procedure. You sure you're up for it? If not, I can cover for you. You look like you can hardly keep your eyes open. I waved it off. No worries. I've powered through worse. Just need some coffee to wake up. David relented. All right, just be careful. No need to buy coffee though. I got an extra from a buy one get one deal. Here, take it. He handed me an iced Americano. I thanked him and chugged it down in one go, feeling much more alert. After a splash of cold water to the face in the bathroom, I felt fully recharged. Time was up. I changed into scrubs and headed into the OR for the procedure. Scalpel number 3, scalpel number 6, hemostatic gauze. The surgery was going smoothly. Tweezers. I removed the gauze piece by piece, ready to stitch up and finish the surgery. Suddenly, my vision blurred. Everything doubled up, and my head spun. What's happening? I blinked hard, but the double vision intensified. What was I supposed to do? Right? Stitch. A few stitches in, I went off track, unable to correct it before collapsing heavily to the floor. I struggled to get up and continue, but my body wouldn't cooperate. "Peter!" My assistant and the nurses shouted in alarm. "Quick, help me up. The surgery isn't done," I mumbled, losing consciousness. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, our department head next to me, along with David. My first thought was about the patient. The boss sighed. "Peter, haven't we said no surgeries while exhausted? What were you thinking? More surgery fees?" David was right there too. "Why didn't you let him take over? He finished the surgery for you. Seemed like the surgery was completed." "Thanks a lot, David. Luckily nothing went wrong. I'll get you a nice dinner sometime," I quickly said to David. "Nothing went wrong? Peter, you left a piece of gauze in the patient's stomach and messed up the sutures. We're lucky it was caught in time. Otherwise, consequences could have been severe." The boss scolded. "You nearly caused a medical accident, Peter. The administration's decided you'll be suspended for reflection," he added. I remained silent. Also, the boss dragged out his words. I guessed what was coming. "Go ahead, I can handle it," I said. "Forget about the department head promotion." I kept a straight face, but my fists were clenched tight under the blanket. I had worked so hard for this chance, pushed myself relentlessly. I never imagined it would blow up like this. There'll be other opportunities. Rest up, you're in a state of extreme fatigue, the boss consoled as he left the room. Get well. All is not lost if you keep your health, he added. David approached. The doc says rest until tomorrow morning. If you can't sleep, tell them. They'll sort it out. He too left the room. Once alone, I couldn't help but punch the bed frame in frustration. This was all Alice's fault. I won't let her off easy. Lying in bed, I aimed to rest and recover. A few hours later, my phone vibrated beneath my pillow. Mike, my good friend, calling. Hey, Peter, where are you? I'm at the hospital. Why? I said. Mike probably thought I was working and didn't ask more. I found what you wanted. Alice just went home with some guy. Can't say if they're having an affair. Better double check to be sure. Got it, thanks Mike. I'll visit soon to thank you. I quickly hung up and turned on the home camera feed. There they were, Alice and a guy, cuddled on the living room couch, seemingly just arrived. I zoomed in on the guy's face, and the sight took my breath away. Never in a million years did I expect Alice's lover to be him, David, my own colleague. I suddenly remembered him asking, back at the office, what I'd do if my wife cheated. That punk was having a laugh at my expense the whole time. David, what did you say? Peter fainted during surgery? How? All his physicals have been clean, Alice said, cozied up with Peter. I spiked his coffee. No way he wouldn't pass out. Serves him right for being so gullible, drinking what his rival gave him. Day in and day out, working like a mule without even realizing what he's up against. Does he really think he can compete with me for the director position? I was stunned. So, today's accident was David's doing. Ha ha ha, he's such an idiot, not a single brain cell in his head. That day, I slipped something into his soup with that woman. He drank it without batting an eye, as if he had no brain. If it's not him who's unlucky, then who? Alice sneered at me. But this coward wouldn't even transfer his shares to me. Said he wouldn't give me a penny, like some heartless beast. Alice angrily cursed. No worries, we'll figure something else out. Trust me, there's always a way. David shamelessly comforted her. You're the best. David, I love you to death. Whether I'm the best or not, you've known for years, haven't you? Now, come on and take care of me. Just wow. Turns out they've been at it for years. But what if Peter comes back? Alice feigned reluctance. Oh, she's wishing I were dead. What are you worried about? I checked in on him earlier. No way he's getting out anytime soon. The doctor said he's knocked out until tomorrow morning. Even if he does come back, what's he gonna do? Worst case, I'll hang out outside your window like before. No biggie. I suddenly realized the sneeze I heard that time was David's. He was hiding outside the bedroom window. Those two are something else. On screen, they were wrapped around each other like snakes. Now, I'm headed over to deal with these two scumbags. I called Mike. Told him to meet me downstairs ASAP. I got up and rushed home. The sounds coming from the door were unmistakable. I kicked the door open and barged in. David and Alice were tangled on the couch, doing God knows what. They were clearly stunned by our entrance. Alice hastily grabbed her clothes and dashed into the bedroom. I went over and started pounding David. First, he didn't know what hit him. After taking a few punches, he started to fight back. Mike jumped in, pinning David's arms behind his back. Go on, Peter, hit him. Thinking of what he did to me, I got even more enraged and hit him hard a couple more times. Alice, now dressed, tried to stop me, dropping to her knees and clinging to my leg. It's all my fault. It's me who seduced David. Please, don't hit him. I slapped her to the ground. David, messing with someone else's wife? Are you even human? What's wrong with you? I finally voiced my deepest question. David wiped blood from the corner of his mouth and sneered at me. You only find out if it's fun after you've tried it. None's more exciting than someone else's wife. I was appalled by this scumbag. If it wasn't for the accident today, I would have been the head of the department. Now I'm gonna make sure your days are numbered. I purposely mentioned this morning's incident to get him talking. Everyone's angry, not thinking straight. Ha, department head? Peter, you're so dense you don't get it. Sure enough, David kept on talking. You want the director's seat. Huh? Ambition's fine, but you wear it on your sleeve. My uncle's the deputy director, you know? That position's reserved for me. Who do you think you are to want my seat? What, want me as your subordinate later, look up to you? Dream on. Here's what you do, kneel down, apologize right now, and continue as you are. I might consider letting it slide. Otherwise, kiss any future in medicine goodbye. You'll be ruined by that surgery patient's family for life. David obviously had no sense, saying things only an animal would understand. I kicked him twice more, aiming at his legs, wishing to lame him. I took a long look at the pathetic David. David, you said it yourself. David looked at me without a word. He didn't know I'd recorded everything. Mike and I left that filthy place. That night, I submitted the recording to the Health Supervision Bureau. Early next day, the Bureau came to investigate. David, being the rash guy he is, hadn't even cleaned up the coffee cup or the drugs. He was taken away immediately. A crowd gathered to watch, with all the hospital's top brass present. David still dared to boast about his uncle, the deputy director. You think you can touch me? Shut up. The deputy director slapped him across the face, dark-faced. You disgraceful fool. After David was taken away, his deputy director uncle approached me. He gently patted my shoulder and spoke warmly. Peter, it's all been sorted. Don't worry, the director position is rightfully yours. The hospital won't shortchange you. I gave a cold smile, pulling my lips into a smirk. No need, I resign. That very day, I penned my resignation letter, submitted it, packed my stuff, and left the hospital. David already spilled that the director spot was reserved. You think he'd dare say something like that without his uncle backing him? This place isn't worth staying at. When I got home, Alice was sitting in the living room, lost in some probably not so good thought. The moment she saw me, she ran over, wanting a hug. I moved away fast. After what I had seen last night, I felt she was utterly disgusting, wanting nothing more than to toss her out right there. Honey, how about we don't get a divorce, okay? You've cheated, I've cheated, let's call it even and move on, all right? Ha! I couldn't bear looking at her pathetic face. I headed straight into the study and locked the door. Before long, the cops arrived and took Alice away, on charges of drugging and assault. Alice looked bewildered as she was taken away. Little did she know, I had already submitted all her and Betty's evidence to the police last night. About 2 weeks after Alice went to prison, I took the divorce papers to see her. Her long, silky hair was cut short, and her eyes, once bright and lively, seemed duller. When she saw me, her expression was complicated, showing resentment and regret. She stared at me silently for a while before finally speaking. Peter, how have you been? Pretty good, actually. After leaving my old hospital job, I found a new one, and it's going pretty well. I'm doing fine. How about you? I didn't expect to still care about her. And Alice burst into tears. I messed up, Peter. I shouldn't have schemed against you. Can you forgive me? Hearing that, I couldn't help but find it amusing. If everything had gone her way and she'd kicked me out with nothing, would she have said this? Definitely not. She's not regretting the scheming itself, just the bad outcome. Peter, will you wait for me to get out? When I do, I'll make it up to you. We'll have a good life together. She seemed genuinely sincere then, but her newfound affection for me was only because she lost her job, tarnished her reputation, and knew things wouldn't be easy after prison. I wasn't impressed by such fake sentiments. Alice, I'm here to get your signature on the divorce papers. I handed her the document. According to our prenup, you leave with nothing. What? Unsurprisingly, Alice wasn't happy to hear this. Peter, I know I wronged you, but now I'm in jail and I lost my job. Making me leave with nothing is overkill. We shared years together. Don't be ruthless. Her reaction was expected. Once she went to jail, the hospital fired her. Her infidelity was exposed, ruining her reputation. Life after her release wouldn't be easy. So, I left the money in your account and the car for you. Think of it as a goodwill gesture. If you sign now, they're yours. If not, we'll go to court and you'll end up with nothing. I made things clear for her. Alice thought for a moment, scanned the agreement and signed her name. You should use this time to reflect. This is the last time we'll meet. Then I left. Before seeing her, I had mixed feelings, but knowing she wasn't doing well gave me some peace. After the divorce, I focused on work and was promoted to department head within 6 months. 2 months later, Mike introduced me to a girl named Lily. She wasn't particularly attractive but had an incredibly gentle and calm demeanor. I heard she had a tough breakup. Her ex cheated on her. We found solace in each other. Lily was great at giving emotional support and often cooked for me. We enjoyed movies and camping together. 2 lonely people living a simple, warm life. I was content and didn't want to disrupt this peace. Until Alice got out of prison. She somehow found my address and showed up several times. Seeing Lily living with me, she immediately lost it, calling Lily a homewrecker. I got fed up and pushed her out, warning her not to come back or I'd call the cops. Her time in jail had made her wary. Hearing that threat, she stayed away. Later, I heard she couldn't find decent work because of her record ending up washing dishes in a restaurant to get by. Peter, bring the food. All right. With Alice out of the picture, Lily and I returned to our calm life. Eventually, we got our marriage license, took a month-long honeymoon, and began living our own little life filled with everyday joys.